And we're back, baby. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Welcome back to Lion on Main. I'm your host, Jay Lyons. And past few weeks have been an adventure when it comes to recording this podcast. Because I bought a camera, as you heard before. And, I thought, I did so much research into getting a camera, getting like this specific camera from this specific company, from this specific lineup, okay? I have a Canon Rebel T7, okay? Now, the Rebel series has been it's been going on for a while, and a lot of people stand by it. People have used T6, T6i, T5, T8s, all that shit. Everyone has, and T7s even also, everyone loves the Canon Rebel lineup, right? So I'm doing so much research into all this. I even did research on, because a lot of the cameras I was looking for were people who were just for maybe doing YouTube videos or, some light movie making and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, but what about the best camera for doing a podcast? Because that's what I'm going to be using this for. Right, so I'm watching videos of people, different types of podcast setups, different cameras they use, all that stuff. And a lot of the cameras I was hearing about was the Canon Rebel series or the Sony A series cameras. But, the Canon Rebel series was just the more prevalent one. The A series was the second most. So, okay, the Rebel series is a reliable camera series, right? So I get the camera, right? And I'm all excited. I was I'm thinking I made a good purchase, right? And so it comes in, and I set up the camera, and I do the first video, the first video podcast, episode 29. And if you watch the episode on YouTube, you'll know that around the 12-minute mark, the camera stops recording, and I put in there that I forgot to disable the auto turn off on the camera, because when I went over to the camera to stop the recording when I was finished, the camera was off. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I didn't even think about that, because I didn't realize cameras would have that, especially when you're recording a video. I would just assume by default, if you're recording a video, the camera wouldn't auto turn off. And so, I went into settings and I disabled it. So I'm like, okay, we're good to go for next time. So next time comes around, which was a Bone Zone episode, was the next one I recorded. And, I'm setting up the camera and, I'm thinking it's going to record the whole episode, right? And if you watched, you can only watch the Bone Zone on YouTube. So when you're watching the video for the Bone Zone, you'll know that the video cuts off at 12 minutes again. And I remember when I was editing the video and I saw it only went to 12 minutes, I'm like, dude, what the hell? Because also when I went over there to check the footage, I saw that the camera wasn't off, but it said something like it had stopped recording. And I'm in the editing and it was 12 minutes again, and I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on? Okay, why won't this camera record past 12 minutes? And it was 11:50 something, So I go in, I Google, why is my camera only recording 12 minutes? And I find out that it's a gigabyte problem on the SD cards that you record on. Everyone's saying, oh, SD cards can only record 4 gigabytes of a video. I'm like, what? Well, first, the thing I was getting the most, because I think the first thing I looked up was, why does my camera have a record limit or something like that? Because I didn't realize there was going to be a difference, but there is a difference, okay? And the first thing, when I searched that up, everyone was talking about how cameras have a 30-minute record limit. 29 minutes and 59 seconds, to be exact. Every camera has a 30-minute record limit. And it's because of some tax thing or something like that. Because if you record over 30 minutes, then your camera has to be like designated like a video camera or a camcorder or something like that, and those could be taxed more when it comes to like importing that camera to other places and stuff like that. So they only let these cameras record up to 30 minutes. It's just like a software thing that you can't change. Like you can't go into the settings on this camera and turn that off. Like it's only going to record 30 minutes with the camera by itself. And it's all because they don't want to pay the extra tax to have it designated as a camcorder. Right? And I'm like, well, why didn't anyone tell me about this? Like, I'm watching videos on people using it for podcasting. And, like, the videos I was watching, this guy was talking about how these, like, podcasts are typically an hour long. Which, I mean, yeah, they are. They're 30 minutes to an hour long, each episode. And so he's talking about this, but he never mentions record limits on these cameras. But it's a record limit on every camera. If it's not a camcorder, if it's not a movie camera, like if it's not from red hydrogen and used to make like movies, they're only going to record 30 minutes. And this guy just never mentioned it. It's the same thing on the Sony A series. On the Canon Rebel series and the Sony A series, which are like the two top camera series, this guy and other people were suggesting, but no one mentioned a 30-minute record limit. And I'm like, are you shitting me? Like, this would have been nice to know before I got the camera. Right? But also, like, I'm reading this and I'm like, well, this doesn't even matter to me at the moment because I can't get past 12 minutes. So why is my camera only doing 12? Because they're saying, oh, yeah, you can record 4K up to 30 minutes. And, like, I'm recording at 1080p. So I'm like, how is a lower video quality somehow taking up more space or something, right? Like, why can't the camera record more than 12 minutes for 1080p, but it can record 30 minutes for 4K? So I looked up, like, why does my camera only record 12 minutes? And that's when I found out it's an SD card problem. They're like, oh, certain SD cards can't hold a file larger than 4 gigabytes. Like, even if the SD card is like a 64 gigabyte card, a single file cannot be more than 4 gigabytes. But I know that there's a way around that because I've seen people who use this camera who record well past 12 minutes. Like, they'll record past 30 minutes without having to restart the camera. So I know there's a way around this. So I'm looking up, like, how to bypass that. And I got a bunch of answers who are saying that it's like the format of the card. They're saying that, like, dude, I'm like an expert on SD cards now. I've done so much research into this to try to figure out how to fix this. Like, I'm an expert, okay? So I'm going to break it down for you guys. So basically, SD cards by default typically are formatted to FAT32. Okay? And FAT32 is the type of format that only allows a 4 gigabyte file size. And if you want a larger size than that, like if you want to record up to the 30-minute time limit that the camera system has built in, or I guess if you're using it for a video camera, like an actual camcorder, to record longer than that, record a larger file than 4 gigabytes, the way around that is to reformat the card. So you reformat the card to exFAT. EXFAT. Okay? They're like, yeah, if you format the card to exFAT, you'll be able to bypass this record limit, right? So I'm like, okay, that's what I have to do. And they also said that you can format it to NTFS or something like that. I don't remember the exact name of that one. But I was like, okay, I'll just format my card to exFAT. So I take the card out of the camera and just let you guys know, if you ever want to get into cameras, okay, and you want to reformat your card, just so you know, when you format a card, it erases everything on the card. So if you want to keep the files that are on the card already before you format it, you got to take all that shit off of the card. So there's nothing on the card, and then you can reformat it. Because like I said, if you format it with like a few pictures on there or a video or something like that, it's going to automatically delete it. Okay. So just letting you guys know. If you ever, for whatever reason, want to use an SD card and you want to reformat, okay, you're welcome. Because I learned the hard way, okay, but it wasn't with this card. It was with something else. It was with a micro SD card. But anyways, so I plugged the card into my computer, and also I don't know how to reformat a card on the computer. So I had to look that up. I know how to do it on a Mac, but I don't know how to do it on a PC. So I had to look that up. So the guy's like, okay, you do this, that, and the other, then you can reformat the card. So I do that, and it pulls up the menu for what you want to reformat the card as. And it's like drop-down boxes, but the thing that's in there, like they're not blank, that shows like what the card is already formatted as, right? And then you click the drop-down box and you click which one you want to reformat it to. So when I open it up, it says that the card I'm using is already formatted to exFAT. And it has in parentheses default for that card. And I'm like, but there's no way. Because if it was exFAT, then I would be able to record past 4 gigabytes. But that's not the case. I'm only recording 4 gigabytes. So there's no way it could be exFAT. So I click the drop-down menu, and there's no FAT32 for this card. It's just exFAT and then like the NTFS or whatever the fuck it is, okay? I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just a glitch on the card, and I'll just format it again as its default, as exFAT. So I click Format for exFAT, and it's like, okay, the card's reformatted. I'm like, okay, great. So I take the card out of the computer, plug it back into the camera, and I just hit record, and I just let it record for 12 minutes while I was doing some other work, because this was all happening as I'm trying to edit the first Bone Zone episode for the D'Amelio Show special, okay? So I'm letting it record, and then when it hits 12 minutes, it automatically stops recording again, which the camera probably stopped recording right now, so I gotta go turn that on. Hang on, just be 1 second. Okay, we're back. That's gonna get really annoying really fast. And also, when I just went over there to to press the record button again, I just found out that my camera's dying, like the battery's dying. I can't win, guys. This sucks. Why can't the camera just work? Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna have to record what I have, because I mean, I can't take the battery out right now and plug it in the charger, so probably the video is probably going to cut off again early. I hate this. I really hate this. If anyone legitimately knows how to fix the SD card problem, please let me know. But anyways, so back to the SD card story. Okay. So I recorded for the 12 minutes on the reformatted exFAT, and it's still only recorded up to 12 minutes. And I'm checking the file size of all these videos, and sure enough, they are exactly 4 gigabytes. Okay, so it's true. It's only 4 gigabytes for 12 minutes for a 1080p video. So I'm like, dude, what's going on? I found so many answers saying that exFAT was supposed to fix all my problems when it comes to this 4 gigabyte thing. And it's not. Like, it's not working. Like, there has to be something else. You know, so I take the card back out of the camera, plug it back into the PC, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to format it as the NTFS, whatever it is. Because that was the other one they said was going to be able to let me record past 4 gigabytes. So I format it to that one, plug it back into the camera. Guess what? The camera can't read that SD card. I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. I plugged it into the camera. It's like, this SD card cannot be accessed. Please reformat. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? So there's a format option in the settings on the camera. So when you have an SD card plugged in, you can reformat it just right on the camera. So I go into settings, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I format it with the camera will format it in the correct way in order to record videos. So I format it within the camera, And I'm assuming I reformatted to exFAT because there was only two options for this specific SD card, was exFAT and the NT whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So I reformat it and I pressed record again, just recording for 12 minutes, and it stopped. I'm like, okay, so there's something wrong with this SD card. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to go out and buy a brand new SD card just so I can get this thing to work. So I look up on, I Google, like, what's the best SD card for a camera? Okay, and I'm not even kidding. I saw pictures of the SD card that I own for this camera. They're like, yeah, this SD card is good. I'm like, it's not. It's not working for me, though. How are you going to tell me that it's one of the best SD cards for this camera if it doesn't work? But I had another idea, because I'm actually taking some film classes. I'm pretty sure my camera just turned off. Yeah, I don't see the red light blinking, so I think my camera died. Sorry, guys. The video cut off again. Man, I'm seriously regretting buying this camera. But anyways, so I'm actually taking film classes. And so one of the classes we have to buy SD cards because we're going to be like recording videos and stuff like that for class. Like like our end of year project is a documentary, like a little 5-minute documentary. And so we had to buy SD cards for the cameras, so we can record on the camera, take the SD card out, and plug it into the Mac and do our editing. Which, by the way, the cameras we're using are Rebel T5, T5Is, and T8s. Like, what the hell? How? Well, like, is there something wrong with my camera? I don't understand what's going on. But anyways, so he suggested a specific type of SD card. So that's the one I got for this camera. So I'm like, okay, what if I plug this SD card into the camera? But before I did, I made sure to make sure it was formatted to exFAT. So I go in, and sure enough, by default, it's formatted to FAT32. Like everyone was saying, SD cards are typically formatted by default. So I'm like, okay, I'll reformat it from FAT32 to exFAT. So I reformat it, plug it into the camera, 12 minutes. What? How do you fix this? I got like 20 people on the internet saying that this is going to fix all my problems, and it's not. Like, it's still only doing 12 minutes. I don't understand. Like, I'm even using the SD card that was specifically suggested to me for a film class for the Rebel T series. How does this SD card not work? So I don't know how to fix this 4 GB limit issue. If anyone who's like an expert at cameras, like, please let me know how to fix this, because I'm like all out of ideas. I'm all out of other people's ideas. Because I've looked multiple times and everyone just keeps saying, yeah, formatting to exFAT will fix it. But also, I take that back. I did see something new where apparently there's more of a difference between every SD card than, like, there's so many different SD cards and like classifications. It's like not even funny. Okay. I know I'm laughing at it, but really it's not funny. So they're like, I see on the internet, they also say that typically SD cards are like SD HD or something, or HC, something like that. And they said that those SD cards have the 4 GB limit. So I'm like, okay, now I have to figure out if my SD card is not that, because they said that the newer SD cards, SDXC or something like that, are going to be the ones that are going to be able to record past 4 gigabytes. And they're also still saying that it needs to be formatted to exFAT, which is a total lie because I tried on 2 different SD cards, exFAT, and it didn't work. Okay, so I already know that's a lie. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys are lying to me. So I'm like, I don't even know how you figure out what the SD card is. Holy shit. I'm looking at the SD card right now. It does say SDHC. I have the wrong SD card. I need to check the other one because this is the one for class, apparently. So I got to check the one that came with this camera to see if it's the correct one. Oh my God, dude, I'm furious. Dude, this isn't funny because like I even like when I read that, I looked up SDXC, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but SDXC, I think it was. There was an X in it. Okay. I looked up those ones for sale, and the one for class and the one I have for this camera came up as options to buy. As ones that are in the XC category. But now I find out that it's the wrong category? You gotta be shitting me. Because they also said that you had to figure out if your camera is able to read an XC SD card. And this camera apparently does. A new SD card. Fuck, dude. I'm so mad. So now I have a little bit of hope. I'm hoping that the camera that's currently in my camera, which is the one that came with the camera when I bought it, I have to hope that it's the wrong SD card. I have to hope it's SDHC. Like, I'm going to be pissed that the guy who sold it to me gave me the wrong SD card, but, you know, I'm going to be happy because at least I can fix the problem. But if I take out that SD card and it says that it's XC, I don't even know what I'm going to do because I've already gotten mad. Like, I can't get any more mad. I'm already, like, disappointed in my purchase decision. So, yeah. I don't understand why no one said that there was a record limit. I mean, forget the 4 gigabyte limit. I mean, let's talk about the fact that there's a 30-minute record limit on cameras by default that can't be changed that no one told me about, because that's even worse. That's not an SD problem. SD card, you can record past 30 minutes. No. That is a camera system issue. Like, the way to bypass that is you have to get an external recorder for your camera. So then you're not recording onto the camera, you're recording onto this external recorder. You're just using the camera as like the lens, basically. Because on the camera specifically, you can't record past 30 minutes. So you have to use a different recorder. You have to record with a different device to record past 30 minutes. And you're probably thinking, oh, you know, why don't you just get that? Well, yeah, I would, but an external recorder, I swear to God, it was on sale on Amazon. The external recorder was on sale for $600. It's typically $1,000. It's $1,000 for something that you need another device in order to use. Because you can't record, like, because the external recorder doesn't have a camera on it. You have to have a camera connected to it in order to record onto the external recorder. So you're paying $1,000 for something that needs something else in order to work. Like, this camera was not that expensive. You can buy an actual camera for less money than an external recorder, which, explain to me how that makes sense. Like, a camera itself is basically an external recorder because you're recording on it, but the only difference is you don't need another device in order to record onto the camera because the camera is the device that records. Oh my gosh, dude. And that's not the worst part. That's not even the worst part. Because external recorders don't draw off the power of the camera. No. They need different batteries. And I'm not talking about some like AA, AAA shit, okay? You need a specific type of battery from Sony that only works with external recorders. And those are like $200 each. What the hell? And also, even that's not the worst part. The worst part is because you're not recording onto the camera, you're not recording onto the SD card. And an external recorder doesn't take the typical SD card. You need a specific type of video capture SD card. And that is like $200 as well. So you need, like, not only does the external recorder require a camera in order to use, it also requires separate batteries you need to buy and a separate SD card in order to use. Like, even if you had a camera and an external recorder, you can't even record on it because you don't have anything to power it and you don't have anything to record on. Like, I just don't understand why no one mentioned this. When talking about like video podcasting, how do you leave out that tidbit of information? How do you be like, yeah, you can use this camera to record your hour-long podcast. Oh, by the way, the camera will only record 30 minutes. Like they just didn't even mention it. They didn't even mention, they're like, oh, you may have to get up and, press record again. They didn't mention that. They just acted like you just press record and you're good to go. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me with all this. Like, this would have been nice to know before I bought a camera. Okay? But, I just learned the hard way, I guess. I'm really holding out hope that my SD card is the wrong one. Because, like, the 30-minute record limit is not going to be that big of an issue for me because, like, my podcast is only a little over 30 minutes. So if I just have to get up one time to press the record button again, that's no biggie. But, like, for 12 minutes, I have to get up, like, 3 times to record again, to press the record button again. And, like, that's just going to get exhausting after a while. I'll be like, oh, God, because I have to watch the time. And I have to make sure that I hop in at the right time so you're not, like, sitting in darkness for, like, 10 minutes. It's just too much. It's too much. But, yeah, that's been my week so far. Yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, maybe they, like, whoever was selling it was thinking that they were just selling the camera to some, like, photographer or something like that. Like, I know you can't expect, like, I know you can't assume that everyone who buys a camera is going to be using it to film, like, an hour-long podcast. I get that. But it makes me wonder because there was this other camera I was looking at because another camera lineup that a lot of people stood by was the Canon M series. And I thought about getting that, but those ones were way more expensive than this camera, right? So I was like, you know what? This camera is very good on its own. At least I thought so. So I don't need to get the M series, right? But the M series, Canon actually sells a content creator package, which gives you a bunch of shit, okay? But it's still like the regular M series. So it makes me wonder. They made this package specifically for content creators. So they have to assume actually kind of expect people who are buying it are going to be recording past 30 minutes. At least some people. So, like, that camera better record past 30 minutes, but I know it doesn't because it's the exact same camera as the other M series. Like, this like content creator package, all they did was they just put the camera in. They also put like a shotgun microphone and like a tripod, and I think they threw in some other stuff. I don't remember. But yeah, but since it's a regular camera, just like all the other cameras they sell, it's not designated as a camcorder, so it falls under that tax evasion, that tax evasion system of only letting it record to 30 minutes, so it doesn't get qualified as a camcorder. And like they don't, at least not what I saw, they don't specify that in the details of the camera. Like they don't, like under features or description or anything like that, they're like, oh, by the way, this camera only records 30 minutes. Like I didn't see that. But yeah, like if you're making a package specifically for content creators, I mean, you better pay the extra tax to let that camera record more than 30 minutes because that's really what people are going to be using it for. They're going to be using it well past 30 minutes. Also, you better have the correct SD card in there that can hold files larger than 4 gigabytes. Because especially nowadays with people making all their videos max out at like 4K or something like that, like 4K, that's going to be even less time. Because 12 minutes is just, that's how long it takes to get to 4 gigabytes filming at 1080p at 30 frames a second. So if you're doing 4K at 60, I mean, that time it's like, that's down in like 5 minutes. It's got to be. So like, Canon better put the right SD card in there because they put the wrong SD card with this one. At least, like I said, I'm hoping it's the wrong one because if I open it up and it's XC and not HC, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Like I would be all out of ideas. I don't know. And it's crazy how my film professor didn't mention that. Didn't mention that at all. About cameras, about SD cards, didn't even mention that. And we're supposed to be recording it's supposed to be a 5-minute documentary, but come on. It's supposed to be 5 minutes after you edit the video. I don't know, are you really going to be, well, when you're doing the interview with somebody, because like I said, it's supposed to be a documentary, so you have the interviews. I don't know, but why would you record 12 minutes of an interview if altogether the video is supposed to be 5 minutes? I don't know. But I just feel like that's something that teachers should mention about videos because it's not like they're going to put us out in the world only expecting us to make 5-minute documentaries, right? Because like the whole point of this class is like learning how to record movies, basically. I don't know. I feel like that type of information, like record limits on SD cards and record limits on cameras in general, are just something that should be mentioned. Like no matter what, like even if you're just talking to somebody about, doing like a short video, you should at least let them know, be like, hey, just so you know, don't sit down and try to record for over 30 minutes because it's not going to let you do that. Or make sure you record in 12-minute segments if you're recording on 1080p at 30 frames a second because you're only going to get 12 minutes of that video. That's just sort of the thing that you would think people would mention when like teaching you how to use cameras, when telling you what cameras to get. And I don't know, I just feel like that's useful information. Like, how do you just leave that out? I don't know. It just like I said, that's been my week, trying to figure out how to, learning everything I can about fucking SD cards. I told you, I'm a pro now when it comes to SD cards. The only thing is like, I didn't realize that there was this much difference. Like, I thought that like the only big difference between SD cards was like how much it holds, and maybe even like the read-write speed. You know, how much data it can write per second and how much it can read per second. You know, I figured that would be like the only thing, but also like, so what's also funny is that my teacher, when talking about the SD cards, was telling us like all the different, well, not all, but some of the different classifications. Like he said, make sure you get a class 10 SD card. I didn't know there was a class 1 through 9. And there's a class 10, and we have to get that one? Like, there's so many classifications for SD cards. It's like, dude, just, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's that much classification when it comes to like USBs, you know, like flash drives to store data on. But like, I just go to the store. I'm like, hey, I need 2 terabytes of storage for a flash drive, and I just get it. You know, I don't look at anything else. I just see if it says a terabyte or whatever, I'm buying it because that's what I need. But who knows? Maybe there's difference. I know there's like USB 3.0 and stuff like that, but I mean, I think that's just like speed, basically. But I don't know. What if there's like a class 10 flash drive that I don't know about? But anyways, this whole episode was about cameras. I feel like I should talk about more, but I'm hitting like that 40-minute mark. I mean, almost. I'm at 37 minutes. I kind of want to keep going. So I think I'm going to keep going. Psych. So a lot of time has passed since I did that episode. And I mean, that's actually where the audio cuts off. I'm not even kidding. I was recording. So today is Tuesday right now. And I recorded this yesterday on Monday. And I was recording, and as I was recording, I was noticing that my recording software was kind of glitchy. You know, but I didn't think too much of it because it was recording. Like everything was fine. You know, you just listen to the file. Like everything sounded fine. But then at one point when I said I want to keep going, I said some other stuff where I don't even remember what the fuck I said, but I talked about something else, and I only talked for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes when I looked and I saw that it kind of stopped recording. Like everything was frozen. I was like, what the hell? So, you know, I pressed pause to pause the recording because the record button was like pressed still. So it was just frozen on it being recording, but I didn't know if it was actually recording like those 2 minutes I was talking, which as you can tell now, it wasn't. So when I pressed stop, it like registered, but then it wasn't responding. Like the application wasn't responding. And I was sitting for a long time. Like I was sitting for like 45 minutes waiting for this thing to start responding because I hadn't saved the file yet. So I couldn't like close out the app and then open it up again because I was going to lose the save file. But it wasn't responding, so I had no choice. I had to exit out. So I exited the application and I reopened it, and luckily it's like, hey, we retrieved this. You know, we don't know if you want to save this or not. And I was like, oh, thank God it has like a retrieval system. But then when I was trying to do some other stuff because I recorded an outro for it because I was like, I can't just have it end right there. So I recorded an outro and I saved it and everything. And like, even then, like my computer was glitchy and I don't know why. Like everything's fine now. It's just like for that, just yesterday, it was like messed up. I don't know what happened. So I recorded the outro and I thought I saved the file. But right now when I was editing the video and uploading the recording to other podcast platforms, I noticed that like my outro that I recorded was all messed up. Like it sounded demonic. Like it was just static in like gargled mess. And I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell? So I opened up because I did save the file before I exited because I was like, I need this. So I opened up the save file and like the outro isn't even recorded. So I have to re-record it right now. I don't know what happened. It was like the strangest thing. Because also yesterday when I was trying to record the outro, my computer volume just skyrocketed and I couldn't turn it down. It was just maxed out at 100. I had to take my headphones off because it was just way too loud. I'm like, what the hell? But it was recording, so I just recorded it, I saved it, and then I restarted my computer, and now everything's fine. But it didn't record that outro, so here I am, re-recording the outro. So anyways, thank you guys for listening. Whatever you guys are listening to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and leave a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. I don't know if I ever mentioned this before. I think I mentioned it on my social media at Lion on Main. This podcast is now available on Amazon Music. So if Amazon is your preferred way to listen, well, there you go. It's out there now, so you can listen. So, yeah, be sure to check out Amazon. Follow me on social media at RealJLines on both Instagram and Twitter, and follow this podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Lion on Main. I'm actually posting stuff on TikTok, so be sure to check that shit out. So, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, yeah, share. The one thing I always forget. Be sure to share this podcast with everyone. Spread the love. Anyways, love you. I don't know. Do I?